So what if the solutions to our biggest problems aren't some crazy complex new technology, but just a different way of thinking? That's what we're going to dive into today. We're breaking down the core ideas behind this movement called permaculture solutions. And believe me, it's a framework that promises to completely reframe how we look at everything, from, huge issues like climate change all the way down to our own backyards.
We live in a world of problems. But what if I told you that in every problem there is a solution waiting to be designed? I mean, that really makes you think, doesn't it? It's designed to just stop you in your tracks. It's such a powerful shift away from that usual doom and gloom narrative we hear all the time. The message here is so clear. Instead of just feeling totally overwhelmed by all the problems out there, we should see ourselves as the ones who can actually design the solutions. It's really a call to take back control,
All right, so what are these big challenges we're talking about? What is this whole approach designed to tackle? Well, the framework kicks things off by identifying the problems, the really big, interconnected problems that kind of define our world today. It really sets the stage for a whole new way of thinking.
Okay, so here are the big ones: climate shifts, rising costs, and broken systems. Think about it. Climate shifts, that's the environmental stress we all feel. Rising costs, that's the deep economic anxiety that's just everywhere. And broken systems, well, that points to all those structures in society that just feel tangled up and like they're not working anymore. But here's the key insight, and this is really important. These aren't separate issues. They're all connected, They form this one giant complex knot that can feel absolutely impossible to untangle.
So if you're going to tackle problems that big and that complicated, you're going to need a guide, right? Someone with some real expertise. And that's where the story naturally shifts from the what of the problem to the who, the voice behind all these ideas. And that guide is Graeme Farrer. Now, he's positioned not just as some academic theorist, but as someone who's spent a whole lifetime actually out there navigating these exact issues.
And his key credential? Well, it's right here. 40 years. 40 years of hands-on experience in horticulture and sustainable land management. I mean, that's not just a number, is it? It's a really powerful statement. It tells you that these ideas are grounded in decades of actual real-world practice. He's been in the trenches.
And this next quote, this really gets to the heart of his whole philosophy. The most powerful tools we have aren't machines, they're principles. And that is such a critical distinction, right? It's not about some fancy, expensive technology, it's about principles. This suggests that the solutions are actually just accessible ideas, things that can guide our actions. It makes this whole thing feel so much more attainable for all of us.
Okay, so if the tools are principles, then what's the system that holds them all together, right? What's the bigger picture? Well, that brings us right to the central concept at the very heart of this framework.
And here it is, permaculture. Now, this definition is absolutely packed with meaning, so let's break it down. It's a design system. That means it's methodical. It's not just random. It's ethical and nature-based, which gives it this really strong moral and ecological backbone. And the goal? Well, it's transformation. Total transformation at every single level, from your own backyard all the way up to your entire community.
And this visual, wow, it really captures the central idea perfectly. On one side, you've got the old way, the conventional approach, fighting against nature, and that's directly linked to those broken systems we talked about earlier. But on the other side, you've got the permaculture approach, designing for abundance. It's all about working with nature's patterns to create solutions that are actually sustainable and create positive results.
So to make this a little less abstract, let's look at a couple of the core principles. First, catch and store energy. Super practical, right? Think solar panels, rainwater tanks, that kind of stuff. But then you get something like this. The problem is the solution. Now that is a fascinating paradox, isn't it? It hints at this totally counterintuitive wisdom, this idea of turning challenges completely on their head. It's basically inviting you to look at any obstacle in a completely new light.
So how do you actually learn all this stuff? Well, it's broken down into a really clear weekly format. It's a simple 3-step cycle. First, you follow these sessions with author Wilf Richards to get the foundation. Then, you break down just one principle each week. And finally, you explore how to actually apply it in the real world. This whole structure is designed to take these big, complex ideas and turn them into practical, actionable steps you can actually use.
And this is where the focus really shifts. It goes from just explaining things to a direct invitation. See, this isn't about you just passively learning a bunch of information. It's a direct call to get involved, to actively participate. And they're calling this a masterclass. Now, that's a very deliberate choice of words. It frames this whole journey as a really in-depth, high-value experience. The message is pretty clear. This is for anyone who is serious about moving past just being aware of the problems and wants to start actively designing and building the solutions for themselves.
And it all comes down to this final, powerful message. Let's build the solution together. I mean, that one sentence just perfectly sums up the entire spirit of this thing. It's collaborative, it's optimistic, and it totally transforms the journey from something you do on your own into a shared community project.
So, in the end, it leaves us with this one direct question. It brings that core idea, that huge shift from fighting scarcity to designing for abundance, and it puts the challenge directly to you. Are you ready to start designing for abundance?